short video here for you. And this bag is a Crinkly bag, and it has kind of a somewhat of an amusing story of how it's lasted this long. Maybe it's not the entirely right word for it, but so it's almost empty. I don't know if you can really see what's left, but it started out as a much wider bag, 28 fluid ounces. So the funny part is it says right here what it is: foaming hand wash refill. So let me start the story from the very top. And some of the details do matter along the way. So, I was lucky enough to have taken a new job in April of 2020. And I had to move across the country in the middle of a global pandemic. And I used to live in an apartment for years while I was doing an advanced degree at a university far away from where I live now and where I lived previously. And so I lived there for a few years in this new city, and I lived in an apartment that was fully furnished. And I mean fully furnished down to the forks and knives in the drawers. At the time, that was the most financially sound thing to do, to avoid having to buy furniture. Or buy anything really. It was not that expensive to live in a place that was fully furnished. And so that's what I did. And so when I moved in April of 2020 to start my new job, I had to fully furnish the apartment I live in now in the middle of a global pandemic, which is, in the scheme of everyone else's worries amidst the current crisis, it's not the worst thing in the world. And certainly in hindsight, it was just a mild inconvenience. But it at least makes for a lightly funny story. So in April, it was kind of the peak of lockdowns. Nowadays, most things are open to a degree, or they've figured out the logistics of curbside pickup or masks are mandated, and you can enter the stores now. But in April, there were only a couple of places open, and one of them was a major brick and mortar retail store that isn't Walmart. And so my girlfriend and I went to this store, and makes a good sound. I went to the store. It started at the top of the home goods aisle with two buggies or two carts. And went through grabbing everything. I mean everything. Because I owned nothing. And of the things we bought were a matching pair of hand soap pumps that were nicer. They were made out of glass and kind of like a polished metal for the pump and the nozzle. Not like this, plastic foaming one. And, we bought them because they looked nice, and then, we went about it. We were in this store for a long time, buying, everything. And so when it came to the next step, which was furnishing the actual soap to put into that soap dispenser. As recall, it was a global pandemic, and in April we weren't, as humans who now understand the virus just a tiny bit better, there was still a lot of concern about the virus being transmitted through surfaces. And please don't quote me on this. Please go to cdc.gov or whichever country you're from for a reputable source on this information. But I think that either the contact on hard surfaces is less likely. It's mostly airborne, at least is my understanding. And so now, if you go into a store, also coupled with the fact that these soap-making companies probably double-timed it to produce and keep up, you now see plenty of soap on the shelves of the stores. Although in April, you did not. And we went to the soap and sanitation aisle of this major retailer that wasn't Walmart, and it was a ghost town. And there was very little hand soap to choose from, and of course we we're like anyone at the time. We were just gonna buy what was available. And this was one of the only things that was on the shelf. There may be like 4 or 5 of these bags, not even brands or scents. I mean, there was just nothing there. And well, we were like, well, we've got to have something in there. But the main holdup, I don't think, was that it was the scarcity. I think it was that this particular brand is pretty pricey when compared to any other brand. I think there's something about it that was particularly expensive. And so the thought was, well, should we wait and get something or just go ahead and buy this? And so we just went ahead and bought it. And this is interesting. I'll come back to this in a minute. I've never seen that before. So we bought it, and they go back to the design of that hand pump. You know, it's a hand pump that is now, in hindsight, it's made for the gel type hand wash refill. And this very clearly says foaming hand wash refill. Now, I guess if you're not fully aware of the difference, this is a very thin liquid that goes through a bottle like this, and it has a little foaming agent here that makes it foamy. It's quite nice to use. On the other hand, there are hand soaps and hand sanitizers that are thicker, like a gel almost, that you have to lather up. And so, because I paid so much money for this, and I think we actually went ahead and just bought the limit of 2 bags, I've been trying to use this junk for almost a year now, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, as I really need to get rid of it in order to go ahead and buy the correct soap for my soap dispensers. I have 2 of them. There's one in the kitchen, and then there's one in the bathroom, and I'm in eyesight of the one in the kitchen right now, and it's still very full. The double-edged sword comment was because I need to get rid of it quickly, but it sucks to use it because it doesn't foam up. It just squirts this liquid in your hand that doesn't foam up well at all. It makes your hands kind of sticky because it doesn't foam up like it should. And so no one wants to use it. I personally don't like to use it, but I need it to go away. And I'm too stingy to just pour it down the sink. So I'm just painfully using it until it's all gone. And that's the struggle I'm at. That's all the story is. It was really pointless. Basically, I bought this really expensive hand soap during a pandemic, kind of in a panic buy, and turns out it's not compatible with the hand pumps I bought. And it sucks to use it, so it's taking forever to use it all, and I'm still stuck with this dang thing. But, no. There was something odd on the back here I was reading. They say, what else can this pouch do? Turtle shell protector, sleep mask, squirrel sumo suit. Oh, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Disclaimer. This refill does not contain any sea creatures, and we're totally kidding about the other uses for this pouch. Who would put a sumo suit on a squirrel? Never tested on animals. So, it's mainly a refill for a foaming pump. Anyway. Hope you enjoyed this silly little story. Sleep tight.